What up, YouTube? Two movies here. Here is my with the new film, the new David Copperfield out this week with Dev Patel. It is an adaptation of Charles Dickens' story of the same name. I decided to do my top 10 favorite Charles Dickens adaptation. I'm not a book reader, so obviously I never really read Charles Dickens' books. But there are some really good films based on his books that are pretty decent. So anyway, with that being said, here are my lists. Coming in at number 10, I'm going to go with the 2003-2002 film Nicholas Nickleby. There's been some interesting adaptations of Nicholas Nickleby. This is actually a pretty solid one. It stars Charlie Hunnam, pre-Sons of Anarchy. He was pretty young when he did this movie, I believe. And in it, Charlie Hunnam portrays this 19-year-old who becomes the head of the family when his father ends up dying unexpectedly. And so, like, he's keeping watch over his mother, played by Stella Gurnett, and his sister, Kate, played by Romola Garai, and becomes an even greater challenge when Nicholas discovers that his father lost the family fortune due to ill-advised investment. So you got Christopher Plummer, who portrays his Uncle Ralph, who ends up pretty much offering to find work for three of them, him and his siblings and all. And so you also got Jim Broadbent in this, who portrays the character Wackford Steers. Juliet Stevenson portrays his wife in this. You also got a few other folks, like you got Nathan Lane's in this, Barry Humphries. You even got Anne Hathaway's in this flick. You know, it's directed by Nicholas McGrath, who did a pretty good job at directing. I thought this film was pretty solid. Charlie Hunnam, probably one of his best work outside of Sons of Anarchy. This was, like I said, this was one of his earliest works, and he was pretty solid in this. Anne Hathaway was pretty good. It had some pretty decent romance scenes in this. Pretty good little flick. If you guys have not seen Nicholas Nickleby yet, I'll say give it a shot. It's pretty decent. Alright. Coming in at number 9, I'm going to go with the 1935 version of A Tale of Two Cities. Now, in this adaptation of the Dickens story, we find a courageous British lawyer named Sidney Carton, played by Ronald Colman, who's defending this French aristocrat named Charles Dickens, played by Donna Woods, from falsely accusations of treason against England. So Carton ends up also becoming an armed of Darnay's beautiful bride-to-be named Lucy, played by Elizabeth Allen. And there's other adaptations of Tale of Two Cities that's pretty good. This is a pretty good one. It's a classic. I believe it got a couple of... the film also marked the debut of stage star Blanc Yarka, who portrays the role of Madame Durfage. And there was also, like, this was in black and white back in the 30s. It's a pretty solid film. The two leads were pretty good. It's a classic. So if you guys have not seen the 1935 adaptation of Tale of Two Cities, give that one a shot. Alright, number 8, I'm going to go with the film Oliver Twist. Now, this Oliver Twist starred Alex Guinness, of course, best known for playing Obi-Wan Kenobi. And this is the 1948 version. The 1948 version is pretty decent. You actually have John Howard Davis as the Tyrell Oliver, who of course is sold into the job as a undertaker's apprentice, and he ends up running away and joining a gang of voracious street undercard led by this massive pickpocket named Fagin, played by Alex Guinness. And so, like, Alex Oliver, of course, is rescued from the life by this kindly gentleman named Mr. Brownlow, played by Henry Stevenson. But with the complicated of evil Bill Sykes, played by Robert Newton, Fagin ends up being abducting Oliver. And so, like, Sykes' girlfriend named Nancy, played by Kate Walsh, ends up restoring Oliver to Brownlow and all. So this is an interesting take on the Oliver Twist story. There is a few other good adaptations of Oliver Twist around, and this is a pretty solid one. I mean, Alex Guinness is, come on, he's Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's always the man. This has some pretty good cast members. So if you guys have not seen the 68, the 48, 6 version, give that one shot. Number 7 is the is another Tale of Two Cities adaptation from 1958. Now, obviously, this is the same story as the 38 version, but I think the 58 one is still pretty decent. This time around, you got Dirk Burgard as the role, Sidney Carden. You got Dorothy Toonen as Lucy. Paul Gers this time plays the French aristocrat. This has some pretty good cast members. I do prefer the 35 version, but both films are still pretty solid. Coming in at number 6, I'm going to go with I'm going to pick Alfonso Cuarón's adaptation of Great Expectations. There's some other adaptations like takes of Great Expectations, but this one he's got Ethan Hawke, Gwyneth Paltrow. This one you've got Ethan Hawke portrays Finnegan Bell, who records the events many years later after, and it ends up. The story, of course, begins with him as a 8-year-old who ends up falling for for this girl named Estella. Then he ends up revisiting her years later, and this time around she's played by Gwyneth Paltrow. You got Robert De Niro's in this, Hank Azaria, and they of course end up, years later end up falling once again for each other because they first fell, in love with each other as kids. So there's that. You also got Josh Bostel was also in this, and Bancroft is pretty good as the wealthy owner, Miss Dinsmore. You even have the likes of Joe Cooper is also in the Chris Cooper match side. He was pretty good. This film was pretty decent. Ethan Hawke and Gwyneth Paltrow both had some pretty good chemistry with one another. If you guys have not seen, it's definitely one of Alfonso Cuarón's, coolest works. Of course, he went on to give us Gravity, Roma, Prisoner of Azkaban. He's a pretty solid filmmaker. Number 5, I'm going to go with the classic Scrooge. Now, I literally got a lot of Christmas Carol movies in this list, because some of his best adaptations are the Christmas Carol adaptations, but Scrooge, starring Bill Murray as Ebenezer Scrooge, directed by Superman director Richard Donner, it's a classic. Bill Murray is terrific as this role. You also had the likes of Carol Kane, Karen Allen from Indiana Jones fame. This film is really funny. It's a film that still holds up today. One of Bill Murray's funniest roles. There actually is talks about a remake of Scrooge with Kevin Hart as the lead. I don't know if that's gonna be as good. But yeah, you also got Jamie Foxx also in this. David Johansen portrays the Ghost of Christmas Past. If you guys have not seen the Bill Murray Scrooge classic, go check it out. It's a really good one. Alright, number 4 is another Christmas Carol film, and that's probably one of my favorite ones. It's A Muppets Christmas Carol. This time around, it tells the story of the Christmas Carol story told by the Muppets. You got Michael Caine as Ebenezer Scrooge. You got the Muppets portraying characters from the Christmas Carol tale. You got Kermit the Frog as the employee Bob Cratchit. Muppets gave some interesting stories. They told us of course they gave us the Lauren John Silver story, Muppets Treasure Island, there's that. But Muppets Christmas Carol is a classic. It got released in 1992, I believe. It still holds up. It's a Christmas film I usually watch once in a while. Give that one a shot if you guys have not seen it. Number 3, I'm going to have another film that has Alex Guinness in it, and that is Scrooge. Not Scrooge, Scrooge. Now, this Scrooge got released in 1970, and this time around you got the late great Albert Finney as the role of Scrooge. You got Alex Guinness as his business partner, Jacob Marley. And he ends up being visited by the ghost of his former business partner, of course played by Guinness, and he ends up warning Scrooge that he will walk on the earth forever, tormented if he fails to change his ways. And you got the ghosts of Christmas Past, played by Edith Evans. Present is played by Kenneth Moore, while Future is played by Patty Stone. And so Scrooge, of course, pretty much compassion for his tiny Tim, played by Richard Bauman, who's the crippled but hopeful son of his underpaid and overworked bookkeeper named Bob Cratchit, this time around played by David Collins. Albert Finney played, like, there's been some pretty good actors who portrayed Scrooge. Albert Finney played the role pretty well. Alex Guinness, I guess he was a fan of Charles Dickens because he was in this, Oliver Twist. Hey, he's Obi-Wan. Come on, people. Anyway, number 2, I'm going to have another Christmas Carol film, and that's a 1938 version of the Christmas Carol. This time around starring Reginald Owen, Azarel Ebenezer Scrooge. You've got Gene Lockhart as Bob Cratchit, Jacob. You got Leo G. Carroll as a Jacob Marley. You've got the Lionel Braham and Rutherford and D.R.C. Corrigan as the Christmas Spirits. It's a classic one. This is probably my favorite Christmas Carol adaptations. It's got released, like I said, got released in 38, like a year before Wizard of Oz. Pretty cool. The 30s has some pretty solid films. But if you guys have not seen any of the Christmas Carol films, they're pretty solid. My number 1 favorite Charles Dickens film adaptation has got to be Oliver. Now, this is the award-winning adaptation of the Broadway musical by Charles Dickens, and this Oliver Twist version stars Mark Lester as the role of Oliver Twist, who falls in the group of the street urchin pickpockets. This time led by Art Phil Dosher, played by Jack Wilde, and you got Ron Moody, who plays the criminal Fagin. You also got Oliver Reed is in this, who plays the henchman. This version got released in 1968. I believe it got a couple of Oscar nominations, if I'm not mistaken. It's a pretty decent one. Ron Moody is pretty good. The one who plays Oliver Twist was pretty good. To me, it's definitely the best Charles. It's a classic right here. It's one of the best Charles Dickens adaptations there was. It's a movie that I believe still holds up today. Probably one of my favorite movies of the 60s. I mean, if you guys have not really seen the 1960s Oliver film yet, give that one a shot. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me do the quick rundown. 10, Nicholas Nickleby. 9, Tale of Two Cities from 1935. 8, Oliver Twist from 48. 7, A Tale of Two Cities for 58. 6, Alfonso Cuarón's Great Expectations. 5, the Bill Murray classic Scrooge. 4, Muppets Christmas Carol. 3, Scrooge from 1970s. 2, A Christmas Carol from 1938. And number 1 is Oliver from 68. There's some other ones, like there has been other adaptations of Nicholas Nickleby. There's been other adaptations of The Christmas Carol. There's been other adaptations of David Copperfield. I mean, heck, before he was Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe was in a David Copperfield adaptation. Fun fact for you. But let me leave with you guys. What are some of your favorite Charles Dickens film adaptations, whether it's for films, TV, or whatnot? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This is Movie signing off.